Hi, this is Clay Osborn from CDH. I'm a consultant here on the development team, so I do a lot of stuff with SharePoint, a lot of stuff .NET, iOS, all that good stuff. Today, I'm going to be talking about permissions in SharePoint, some gotchas that people often run into, and some ways, to get around that. Some of these issues can be kind of convoluted. SharePoint has lots of gotchas, and it can be difficult to troubleshoot. And there's some really simple and powerful features that are built right into the interface that a lot of people don't know, are right there, and easily accessible and usable by, site collection administrators to troubleshoot why somebody doesn't have access to a certain resource. A lot of the common things that people run into is they will be granted access to a site. They will navigate out to their site. For example, here's a user. I'm logged into, I come into this change request list, and I can see it, everything looks good, but where's the add button? I can't add, I can't update items. I was granted permissions, but it doesn't appear as though I have enough permissions. I personally can't see the settings to know any of the permissions assignments. At that point, I go to my administrator and ask, what's up? They go and troubleshoot and try to figure out why the permissions aren't set. And instead of just digging through every little piece of the settings in SharePoint, trying to figure out where they're assigned and where they're not, one of the easiest things to do is to go straight to the list itself in question, navigate in to the same list the other user was looking at, and we bring up list settings for this list over here on the settings wheel, and permissions for this list. And there's this nice little, right here, check permissions dialog that not many people know about. Now, navigating into this, we can then type in the actual user in question and check their permissions to this list. And we get a nice readout of all the permissions that they were assigned throughout the site to get them into this list. So in this case, this user has nothing but read permissions granted through the visitor group. Now we know exactly where they were granted permissions, and we can go out and alter those or give them additional permissions, but we know why they have permission to the list and what kind of permissions they have to this list because of this little button here, which comes in very handy. Now this button exists at a site level and at a list level, so we can check permissions at this granular level. A lot of times people run into issues with broken inheritance on lists, and that can lead to other troubles that, again, you can figure out where they're being assigned, if it's a direct permission to this list or if it's coming down, being inherited from the site level or not. We can run out there, go to that list, go to that root collection and give them the permissions they need. So consider another scenario. Randomly, when users browse to a resource, like a site, list, etc., they're supposed to have access to, but they receive this message, sorry, the site hasn't been shared with you, access denied. Now the whole site looks like they don't have access to it, but they know they've been assigned. And it continues to get access denied for a period of time, but then it magically starts working again. And no one's changed a thing. Then, that's SharePoint. You run into these kind of things. And it repeats like this, access denied again, and then at some point, it seems like they have access again. You check permissions, everything looks good. They have assignments. They should, for all intents and purposes, have access to this resource. This issue occurs on publishing sites where permission inheritance has been broken. So the affected user only has access to a subsite, for example. We've broken inheritance, given them access to subsite, but they don't have access to the top level site collection. Now, normally this wouldn't be a huge problem, but with publishing sites, you've got master pages and stuff to worry about. It occurs when the built-in SharePoint group called style resource readers has been messed with in some fashion. Master pages, CSS files, stuff in the style library, they're all stored at that top level site, not at the subsite level. But they also need to render on the subsite whenever somebody is accessing that. That stuff carries through from the hierarchy. Users access the only subsites, users with access to the subsite need access to that high level resource as well. So that style resource readers group is used to grant the necessary item permissions to those top level resources. And that's what's trying to be rendered on the page simultaneously with the site that they have access to. To remedy this, we double check that style resource readers group, make sure that it contains the everyone and NT authority authenticated users assignments so that everyone can access these sorely needed public resources. Making sure that style resource readers also has access to the master page gallery and the style library, and that issue should clear up. Consider another scenario where we run into problems, another SharePoint gotcha to watch out for, is you break permission inheritance on a list and give some user permissions to only that list. The users can browse to the list, no problem, but users get this, the server was unable to save the form at this time error message when they're adding or updating existing list items. This happens if the use remote API's permission is removed from the limited access permission level. Use remote APIs is required to add and edit items. This permission is removed from that by a special feature, actually. There's a site collection feature called limited access user permission lockdown mode. So if we go to the root site collection, now down here in site collection features, if we search this page, we will find this nice little feature right here, limit access user permissions lockdown mode. And I do have it activated. Now this mode is responsible for that use remote APIs permission. Turning this off will restore the site back to like a vanilla team site type out of the box permission level. Special note is that this feature is on by default if you're using a publishing portal site. Team sites don't have this on by default, but publishing portal sites, this flips on and then someone goes and breaks inheritance on a list and we run into this problem. And that's how you would remedy that, deactivating this again. So I hope this has been helpful. There's many more SharePoint gotchas to watch out for, but keep on watching this channel and I'm sure we'll highlight some more of them for you. Thanks.